Good afternoon, everybody. I think I've got the graveyard shift. Everybody's had a nice dessert. I hope everyone had coffee so that we're all awake. So good afternoon. I just want to talk a little bit around digital disruption and about technology. And as Richard said, how this digital disruption is affecting even very traditional companies like Meralco. And I think probably from what we get this morning, everybody is well aware that the world is constantly changing, and our industry, our utility industry, is no exception to that. It's really not a question of when disruption will happen. Disruption is happening now. And what we've seen is many of these traditional businesses being overtaken in the past 5 years by their digital equivalents. So if we look on the transport, the world's largest transport company, which owns no cars or taxis. Everybody knows that one? Uber. The largest accommodation provider that actually owns no hotels. The largest telco, which owns no infrastructure, no cell sites, something like WeChat or Skype. The world's most valuable retailer, which has no inventory, no stores, Amazon or Alibaba. The world's most popular media content provider that actually generates none of its own content. It's companies like YouTube and Facebook. One of the world's largest movie houses that actually doesn't even own a movie house. And the largest software vendor that doesn't actually write many of its own apps, the likes of Google and the likes of Apple. So we've seen these traditional businesses, these traditional infrastructure-heavy businesses being overtaken by their digital equivalents in the last 4 or 5 years. But this digital disruption is not new. Technology has always changed industries going back. But what is changing is the pace of technology adoption. And what we're seeing now is it took decades and decades for the telephone to reach just 50% of households, but it took cell phones to reach the same penetration in 5 years. It took 38 years for radio to reach 50 million users, but the game Angry Birds, which I hope nobody is playing in the audience now, took only 36 days to reach the same level. And I'm sure everyone's familiar with this new phenomenon, the Pokemon Go. I don't know if anyone, is there a Pokemon in the room? I don't know if anybody's been checking it out. And this has been breaking records in the last 3 or 4 days. And since, as of the 8th of July, which was only 2 days after the official release, the app was being used an average of 43 minutes a day, which is more popular than apps like WhatsApp, Instagram, Snapchat, and Messenger. And as I was in London last week, I was watching loads of people walking around aimlessly like this, bumping into things. It surpassed traditional, call them traditional games, like Candy Crush. And though people will be unlikely to be excited about this new app in the utilities industry, the game is really testament to the fast pace of technology. If you would be sitting there 10 years ago saying, I want to reach 1 million consumers within 10 hours, not possible. But nowadays, technology is at a state that you can reach this global industry very, very quickly. So what's it really got to do with the utility industry? Well, in our industry, this technology-fueled transformation is shaking the ground that we stand on. It's challenging traditional businesses like us and forcing us to, and I'll use the words of our chairman MVP, disrupt ourselves or get disrupted. So in Meralco, we're undergoing what we're calling a digital transformation, which is a well-used buzzword. I'm sure the consultants in the room here make a lot of money using that term. And what we're seeing is it's a result of a number of major change drivers. Number one, technology is changing the way we generate and distribute power. It's driving more efficiency in our energy use. Two, these new innovative and pervasive technologies are changing the way we manage our network and the way we manage our system. Number three, and critically, our customers are changing. And number four, our workforce is changing, becoming more technology-enabled, as we see this Generation Z employees starting to come into the company. The impact of these drivers is gaining pace in the utilities globally, and we're really finding that we have to pivot, do this digital pivot, and reinvent our operations. So just to cover those points, firstly, it's changing the way we generate electricity. We're moving away from the centralized generation into a more decentralized model. And one particular very topical element of that is solar. Globally, solar PV installations in 2015 increased 34% over 2014 numbers globally. And the solar market installed 7.6 gigawatts of solar PV in 2015. Those of you who aren't familiar with gigawatts, it's quite a lot. And the cost of solar, of course, is falling fast as the technology gets better. The same is true of batteries. The batteries, to me, is the game changer, because when batteries come in and are commercially available at an affordable price, then the power you generate during the day can be stored at night, and you have an ecosystem that can work independently of the distribution utility. And this is what our big disruptor is going to be. Also, technology is driving more efficiency in energy use, so you're getting it from the other side as well as generation changing. People are being more efficient in the way that they're using electricity. Over the past 10 years to 15 years, improvements have been in homes, appliances, and lighting, and the annual investment in renewable energy technology in the sector from 207 billion in 2014 to over 400 billion in 2030. So huge amounts of money going into renewables and into new energy efficiency systems. But then apart from solar, battery, and energy, we're now seeing a real inflood of new technology solutions. It's the convergence of information technology and operational technology, together with social media, big data, mobile and location-aware technology, cloud computing, sensors, in-memory computing, advanced metering, new communications technology, predictive analytics. The list goes on and on. The new technologies are flooding us on a daily basis. And we're seeing the line between information technology and operational technology converge as we start, and that's the same in many industries, in telco, manufacturing. And we're seeing that our management of our grid is now leveraging off of IT solutions. So where the two would be separate, the two are now dramatically converging. And we're looking at having to build combined IT, OT solutions in order to get the most effective way of managing our grid operations. This new advances in information technology, but importantly in communication technology. The way that these things can now communicate is allowing the technology to really flourish, especially in the advanced metering, the AMI, advanced metering infrastructure, networks automation, etc. So we're now rolling out our AMI program, smart metering, and for many utilities, including us, this is our first step into what we're deeming the smart grid. The 10 largest national deployments worldwide are expected to add nearly 500 million, half a billion new smart meters by 2020, approximately tripling the 2012 global installed base. It's a huge number of devices, and many of them are centered around China, which is undergoing a large smart meter rollout. Australia has already done a large rollout. Europe is well on its way. In Meralco, at the beginning of our journey, as I mentioned, we've got 28,000 meters installed, offering a prepay system. But we really hope to be expanding that into the millions over the next 5-6 years or so. But these smart meters are just one device in an ever more connected world. Accenture estimates there'll be 50 billion connected things by 2030, and Gartner estimates that this year alone in 2016, 5.5 million new things will get connected each day. So collectively, as we know, this is known as IoT, or the Internet of Things, where everything is becoming connected, from your watch to your fridge. I got one of these Amazon Echo things I got from the States. If you've ever played it, it's very good. You can ask it questions, it can switch things on. But everything in our life is becoming connected. Data is flowing between all of these devices. And this offers a wealth of possibilities, IoT, for a utility. It offers us the ability to get to our customers better and for a higher level of automation. Many of these are enabled through the third IT platform. And as many of us, including Meralco, are still struggling to move from the first generation, the mainframes, to the second generation, the client server, to what is a whole new third generation. Cloud, social media, big data and mobility, together with the Internet of Everything, is really changing the technology landscape. So today, these scalable IT capabilities are delivered as a service through the cloud. And what we're seeing is that this is giving us some flexibility and agility in adopting technology solutions and allowing us to become more agile and try new innovative products without having to put large capital investment into infrastructure up front. Everybody is all aware, I'm guessing, of social media and the rising popularity and how that's become integral to our lives now. It's become the pervasive platform, really, for this idea and information creation and exchange, capturing our sentiments permanently in the digital space. A few years ago, we started to embrace social media. Now we're doing more social listening. So if you post on Facebook or Twitter with the tag Meralco, we'll find you, we'll look it up, see what you're saying about us, and eventually we'll make that seamless so that we'll reply and we'll be able to really monitor what's being said and how people are listening to us and what people are saying and what the customer sentiments are on social media. From the study provided by Nelson, it's estimated in our franchise area around 97% already have access to the internet, whether at home or somewhere else, with around 59% of them have Facebook accounts. So utility data volumes are growing fast. Data is increasingly expanding, and as we move from once a month meter readings to 50-minute meter readings, which was what you get under the smart metering system, the amount of information we have will swell. And we are facing, as many industries are, the challenge of what to do with all of this data. One of the challenges we're facing now is how do you change the data from being a liability, from being a cost, into being an asset? So we're starting to look at how we build big data platforms, how we can get more information, how we can get more analytics from the data that we are accumulating. And it's not just metering data, it's an ever-increasing amount of data from various field devices, external data, weather data. How do you mash that all together to get some real insights? And hopefully by doing that, we can get to know our customers better, we can manage our grid operations better, we can do predictive analytics so we know when things are failing before they fail. So the wealth of opportunity is there in the big data space to really get value from the data that we use. Mobility, of course, is one of the biggest pillars of the third IT platform, being brought about by the rise of smartphones and tablets. And in Asia-Pac, there's around 2.51 billion mobile phone users, about 62% of the population. And I think in the Philippines, we're the selfie capital of the world, according to a report. So let me keep that tradition going. That's my phone. Smile. I'll work out how to use, there we go. Okay. Just to add one more to the growing list. And our cell phone penetration is already around 100% in the Metro Manila area. Virtually everybody has access to a cell phone. And increasingly, smartphones are becoming more and more affordable. And even at the low segment, we're seeing more and more people able to get access to the cheaper, lower-end smartphones with those functions. Let's talk a little bit about customers, about how our customers are changing. I'm looking at this group of very, very young, almost millennials in the group. So I'm sure most of you won't recognize some of these technologies, but who knows what that one is? No? That's just called a fax machine. When I was young, we used to use this. What about this one? Who remembers Best Buy or flops from Best Buy in the US, yes? Blockbuster Video. Haven't been there recently. Yellow Pages. Yeah, still use it? I was in PLET the other day, and we had a video conference, a Skype video conference, and it was on the laptop, and a guy couldn't see it, so we got one of the Yellow Pages and used it to hold the laptop up. So it's still very useful. Even at PLET, they still use Yellow Pages to hold the laptop up so you can do the Skype call. I thought that was quite ironic. What about Encyclopedia Britannica? We didn't have one in our house, but the neighbors had one. So I used to have to go across the road, you go and find the index book, and then you go and correspond to where that data is. What about the top one? Paper mail, paper. Who gets their bills these days on paper? Most people have probably signed up for online banking. You still do? Yeah, Meralco does. Coming soon. That's why I'm here. So increasingly, people are stopping to get bills, stopping to get junk mail and stuff by paper. And even the fixed line phone. I have one in my house. I haven't used it for many, many months. So these technologies, although for us, they're familiar, for our new generation of customers, they're alien. For anybody who's got young children, or even teenage children, or grandchildren, try and explain to them this evening the idea of a fax machine. You write something out, you put it into this thing, you dial it, then the paper comes out the other side, then somewhere else there's another piece of paper that comes out. It's an alien concept. And what we want to try and appreciate is that as our customer bases change, we have to keep up to date. Old technology moves out, new technology moves in. So this rapid change of technology means that the energy sector is on the brink of a huge transformation as we try to get up to par with companies like banking, and paper billing is a very good example. Customers are now requiring a higher level of transparency. Why is my bill this amount? How did I use electricity? Why is it so high? How could I reduce it? The single monthly consumption figure is no longer acceptable anymore. And they're expecting more convenience from the utility. Why do I need to wait for a piece of paper? Why do I need to queue up in this queue? And research has shown that these digitally enabled customers have more trust and more satisfaction in their energy provider. And it's also able to unleash more business value for the utility, such as being likely to sign up for other programs and offering other services. So finally, let's just mention the workforce, because as well as the customers are changing, our workforce is changing. Our employees, our new generation of employees, are demanding access to systems 24/7. They want to be able to work at home. They want to be able to check something on the beach, in the taxi, when they're going back and forth to work, whatever it might be. So they're really demanding these new productivity and collaboration tools. They want to share information. In the next few years, the majority of the workforce will be the millennials, born from 1980 to 2000, who are now in their 20s and 30s. They value innovation, and around 59% of them say that state-of-the-art technology is important when considering a job. And many say that it's more important to them, the innovation aspect of their employee, than the profitability. So really what we're seeing in Meralco is, and we're a very old company, as Richard said, we no longer can sit idly and just be content as being managers of the grid. If you ask me where our competition is going to come from, am I worried about it coming from a Boites or the San Miguel's? A little bit, but I'm more worried about it coming from the Googles of the world or the Facebooks. And as we saw with the Teslas in the world, as we saw from the example I gave earlier, if you were a taxi company 10 years ago being asked, where do you think the biggest risk is? Where's competition going to come? They probably wouldn't have said some guys in a garage in San Francisco will knock up an app. If you asked the manager of the Hilton, what are you worried about 10 years ago? He would say, I'm worried about Marriott maybe building a hotel in that empty lot next to me. They wouldn't be thinking that their real competition is the guy across the road who has a residential apartment. And for us, battery and solar is our Uber. It's the way for a startup to come in and to establish the capital-intense industry that we have and find a way to disrupt and a way to bypass us. And this is happening. Home security companies like Vivint, a company with no energy utility background, was able to establish in the US 274 megawatt solar generation capacity by just convincing people to put solar panels on their roof. And they've expanded their business now to Canada and New Zealand. And even in Australia, you look in Australia, Telstra, the largest telco in Australia, is now getting into the business. They're now offering solar and battery systems together with online apps to purchase power. So that's really where the competition is coming from in the future. So at Meralco, we've recognized this and our need to transform and our need to respond to these challenges. So we're embarking on what we call a digital pivot. And we always have to have a consultant-like slide. This is our 6 Ds of digital. Digital customer interaction, digital grid operation, digital asset management, digital field worker, digital energy products and services, and digital enterprise. So on the customer side, we want to transform the way customers interact with Meralco. Open up those digital channels. Click of a button, you can log into your account, you can do a service application, you can pay a bill, you can contact us, you can see your consumption. On the grid side, we're installing more and more sensors in the network, automation. This enables us to quickly monitor, control the health of our network, and we'll soon be commissioning our ADMS, Advanced Distribution Management System. And this will allow us to basically create what we call a self-healing network. So the system is able to work out when there's an outage, the most effective way to route electricity through other circuits to reduce the impact of the outage. And it can come up and do all these complicated scenarios on the fly. Asset management is, of course, important for a company like Meralco as a high asset owner. We want to step further by looking at the health of our assets, doing more analytics, predictive maintenance, so we can solve things before they break down. We want to enable our field workers with mobility solutions so they have access to information, no more keying things in the office, no more paper. They can see the information on mobile devices and tablets. We want to start looking at other products, solar and battery is an example, smart home, so that we can look at ways that we can extend the service in addition to just providing electricity. And really, and one of the most critical is the digital enterprise. It's about, not just about technology, it's about a mindset. It's about trying to build technology and innovation into our DNA. So it's about new collaboration tools, new ways of working together, a new approach to the organization. So in closing, even a 113-year-old utility like Meralco is not immune to disruption. As we saw in the hotel industry, the transport industry, the media industry, new business models come and they bypass the traditional. For utilities, it's renewable and battery storage that will disrupt both our generation and our distribution business. And we're really finding now that we have to embrace these new technologies and help customers reap the benefits from new technologies like solar. So I briefly covered the IT perspective, the third IT platform, mobility, as a key in embracing the Internet of Things. Social media will become a more and more important channel for us to communicate with our customers. Big data platforms will be developed to allow us to consolidate and to do analytics on data. We'll start looking strategically at moving away from certain on-premise solutions and leveraging the power of the cloud so that we can scale up and we can try new solutions and offer new stuff to our customers. And on the sake of our customers, we just need to be ready for this new type of customers, expecting more information at their fingertips, a proactive utility who informs them of outages. So what we want to be able to do is, instead of you having to call Meralco to tell there's an outage, we know and we'll inform you. We'll inform you for our digital channels, and we'll tell you when we're going to restore. They're expecting new innovative products, and I mentioned our prepay solution. We want to roll that out to postpay so that maybe you can set a limit on your daily consumption, and the power won't go off, but we will inform you when you're getting close to the limit to help you manage your electricity usage throughout the month. We're going to roll out these mobile and internet technologies to allow you to pay and communicate with us electronically and communicate with us through social media or other channels. And then be ready for these next generation of new employees. A few of my employees are here today, all millennials, I'm sure. Is that right, Annie? 1990? Yes. And we also need to be ready for this next generation. So remaining an attractive place to work, provide employees with the freedom to work away from their desk, and look at our policies and procedures in the working environment again. And as the largest distribution utility, Meralco, I hope that we're ready to face these challenges. The digital pivot that I just mentioned, with technology and people development really at the center, will ensure that we remain relevant in this ever-changing technology-fueled world. It will ensure that we're able to support new technologies like solar, wind, and battery, respond to our regulatory environment. It will ensure that we modernize technology, utilize modern technology to build an electricity grid fit for the future and fit to support Philippine growth in the future. And ensure that we're able to meet our changing customer needs by opening up these new channels for them to interact with us, to provide more information, insights, and provide much more innovative products and services. Thank you very much for your time.